Does she hit that Geist now, or does she try to go for an alternate line? So we'll give her time to think about that and set it up. Although on the other side run, Audrey's hand looks pretty good for fighting through this mid game. Even if she does lose the Shield Slam, the Super Collider is such a big deal against these Warlock decks.
Yeah, I mean, having the Super Collider in hand, being able to tank a little bit face and remove 2 big minions is a big deal in this matchup. And that Super Collider becomes very tricky for the even lock to be able to think out their turns correctly to not lose big minions. So, but you can see Slysssa playing around that fairly well here by looking where she puts that Skulking Geist.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, good eye on the positioning there. The taunt on the left means that if a Super Collider comes down, it has to hit this minion on the right. She can't easily line up a smash between the Geists in the Shroom Brewer, but yeah, she's just going to use this to clear the homunculus now, and looks like she's eyeballing a trade into the Shroom Brewer as well. It's a pretty good turn for Audrey, and she's actually going to go for a coin hero power here, Ron.
Interesting. I don't mind it. She may be thinking that Boo something that she's going to do, and so she's trying to get as much armor in as she can for next turn. So
true, yeah. Because once you hit that Dr. Boom, you lose access to the tank up. So tank up one more time before you lose it, right?
Right. So I think that was why we're seeing that there.
Okay. I like it. So Slysssa, once again, considering she just picked up the second Mountain Giant, and that other Shield Slam got burned by the Geist. So Audrey's gonna have a tough time challenging this Giant without taking some damage along the way.
Yeah, and that might be why Slysssa so just throwing that down straight away, because what can she do to clear this Giant out? It's going to be tough for her. So, and we see the Spellbreaker maybe coming down here. I think that might be a pretty good call. Although if she does have Brawl in hand, it is losing some resources that she might have wanted for later in the matchup.
Silencing the Dire Horn, always a tactic to consider against the Odd Warrior. This is how the Odd Warrior extends the long game, putting more cards in the deck. But the silence prevents that. No Matriarch going into the deck for Audrey. She's got a clean board to deal with here.
And she does top deck that Reckless Fury, which was the only really to clear out that board.
Yeah, that was the one clean way she had available to her. Of course, it did cost her all that life gain that she used the hero power to pick up. But Slyssa's lost both Giants now, so now she's going to be deploying into some more secondary threats, like in Greymane, possibly a Twilight Drake if she can get to it. And if she can take enough damage to pick up a Hook Reaver, in fact.
Yeah, and we can see the Hook Reaver is in fact in hand. She really does need to start picking up a few more demons here to be able to create a big board with the my apologies with Gul'dan. His name was escaping me.
Well, he is a tricky fellow, even in the lore, so no surprise that he tried to escape notice from you there, Rod. And, this is another clean pickup for Audrey. Super Collider along with the Dynamatic finishes off both minions on board. Audrey's still at a fairly comfortable 36 health. So Slysssa, what does she need to do to continue applying pressure here to try and threaten lethal against this Odd Warrior?
She really needs to start picking up those demons, as we kind of talked about. Ooh, there's a Twilight Drake that usually tends to be a fairly good pickup here, because it's a very hard minion to remove. So we don't see any type of owl or anything like that in hand yet. So that we know that Drake's going to be safe to do some damage if she doesn't clear it.
Right, Audrey does run a single owl in her Odd Warrior deck as opposed to the double owl that some of the decks like nowadays. So that's a decent. I would say that's a reasonable risk for Slysssa to say, well, if you've only picked up 13 cards, so chances are you don't have an owl, and it doesn't challenge a whole heck of a lot as far as life goes. Not as much as a giant.
And honestly, if she had drawn the silence out there, that would have felt pretty good, so that her Hook Reavers could come down and stay 7/7s instead of those measly 4/4s.
And look at this pickup by Audrey off the top. Big Game Hunter. Been floating in and out of Odd Warrior lists for a while now, but it's a great shout to the Even Warrior or Even Lock matchup. because it hits the giants, it hits the hooked reavers. Yeah, once they've been powered up, that is a card that can pick up a lot of miles in these matchups. I like the big game hunter in the Odd Warrior.
I do too. It sees a lot of utility, I think, and I mean it's golden. How can you go wrong with a golden big game hunter?
I mean, if I have any golden card run, I'm playing with it. I'm not the Dustin Golden kind of person. I love playing with my golden cards. Slysssa picking up the Black Knight, which is more of a shout to even lock mirrors, but Slyssa's at 10 mana now, so here comes Gul'dan.
Gul'dan is coming down.
We're gonna see if at least two or three demons, I believe.
Two
demons.
I believe.
Yeah, we saw the two homunculi. That's right. Not a ton of offense though. This is just 8 power on board, and Audrey's at 43 health. She's not in any danger whatsoever.
No, and honestly, it's not even a board that you maybe even consider brawling at this point. I agree with the hero power. See what we find, for sure.
Right, and we know that Dr. Boom, the Dr. Boom hero, gives all mechs rush, which means any mech that Audrey picks up off the hero power here, she can play, kind of use them as removal. They hit the board and they do their damage to a minion that's on the board. So this Piloted Reaper attacks immediately for 2, for instance. So this is a good way for Dr. Boom to clear the board without having to expend resources from hand.
Yes, yeah, there's so much. The Boom hero power has so many great utilities. When you're getting cards and you're armoring up, you're able to deal damage, deal 3 damage to a minion or face. There's so many good things now. Granted, it does whiff every now and then, but it has so much value in it. We see that bumping into the other homunculus there, and the Eternium Rover is going to take out the last of the homunculuses and give Audrey a little bit more armor.
So yeah, I rather like this option here. The Super Collider was a bit of a risk as to which way that center demon was going to attack, but the picking up the Eternium Rover off of the hero power allowed Audrey to complete the clearing off both of those minions with that one attack and gain her little armor in the meantime. So not a full clear, but still relieving pressure. And let's see, Slyssa's down to 11 cards. She's gone through 2/3 of the deck so far, and she's got a lot of work to do.
She does, and putting the pressure on is going to be even harder. Life total being as high as it is, she can't put down a hooked reaver. We don't see any large minions really in hand here.
Yeah, Black Knight I think is the biggest minion she's got at 4/5, and I'd be surprised if she wanted to hold that for the eventuality of maybe a Direhorn Matriarch coming out of the deck or something of that nature. This is a tough position for Slysssa. She's gonna have to leverage this hero power quite a bit, I think.
We see the hooked reaver go ahead and being played out for tempo.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Gul'dan hero power, she's healing every turn. So there's not going to be a lot of opportunity to go down to 15 health if she keeps tapping that hero power. So I can understand that.
Yeah, and I think it's a good play there, especially to try to start putting some pressure on. If Slyssa's going to win this, it's going to be her building a board that can actually pressure Audrey into doing something.
Right, and Audrey has been picking up the pace now on her play. I think she senses that her superior position is intact. And that play of the hooked reaver for a 4/4, I think, was a signal that there's not many threats left in the deck. But I tell you what, that bone mare off the tops is pretty nice. But even that can't punch through this Tar Lord from Audreykills.
It can't, and then on top of that, we see the Game Hunter has just been sitting in Audrey's hand, and Slysssa having an open deck list probably knows that here. So I think that's why we see her hold on to that bone mare. She Black Knights, she can get rid of that, and then maybe next turn if the hook reaver doesn't work, she might use that bone mare there.
Yeah, that's true. Black Knight actually going to come into some use here, thanks to the Stonehill Defender granting this big taunt minion, and it's really the only clean way for Slysssa to answer that without picking up any other side effects. And I don't even know if she runs 2 in this deck. I see, yeah, she does have 2 Spellbreakers, but she's only drawn the 1 so far. So yeah, here comes Black Knight.
comes the Black Knight. More pressure for the board. The thing about Odd Warrior is it's definitely a deck of answers that turn into good stuff. We can see she's got Faceless Manipulator if something gets out of hand, big game hunter to be able to take anything down. She still has Brawl, which has been sitting in her hand since I think turn 1.
It's been there for a long time.
I mean,
for pretty much the entire game.
Audrey is not hurting for answers in this deck at all.
Oh, and I love the Security Rover pickup here. This is it bumps into another minion with the rush, and then it creates another 2/3, and then just continues trading. You know, it's such an annoying little wall for any deck to deal with. Even the even lock has a hard time with this little guy.
Yes, and
looks like Audrey's considering which way she wants to go with the Super Collider, and she's holding the rush attack until she determines that. But yeah, I like this. This is a good shout here. This is kind of another partial clear, another taunt for Slysssa to get through, and still hasn't taken a single point of actual damage run.
I mean, the Odd Warrior is able to basically build another whole life with that hero power at the beginning. So gaining 4 is just insane. So with even Lock is a deck of large minions and hasn't taken a single face damage until now. It's just crazy.
Whoa, look at this play. The Faceless Manipulator gonna copy that 8/7, and the Big Game Hunter gonna clear that big 8/7 from the other side. Total reversal there for Audreykills, and suddenly she's got a very strong board. But I tell you what, that 8/7 hit for a lot of damage there, and no armor up, no tank up hero power anymore. She's got to start, being a little more careful to not take too much damage. Yeah.
And we can see that Slyssa's actually picked up the silence there to be able to remove the taunt, so she can actually hit face for another. Here we go.
The Security Rover had to create another obstacle, but the hero power was available there to clear it. So yeah, wow, good heads up play for Slysssa.
That was an excellent tempo swing there for Slysssa.
100%. And so, unfortunately though, Slyssa's that's kind of it. No, the tank is empty except for that other hooked reaver, which is only going to come down as a 4/4.
The only positive side is she still has 2 Dread Infernals, the 6/6 that deal 1 damage to the name that's gonna be Dread Infernal, correct? She still has those, so they are larger minions that can do some damage here, but she's not getting much of a pickup here, and since she moved over to the Golden, she doesn't have the ability to card draw anymore.
Oh, but that's Audrey with a great play here, using the cornered sentry. Makes 3 raptors for the opponent, and she had the hero power from Dr. Boom that does 1 damage to all enemies, so she got the 2/6 basically for free, well, for the 2 mana that the minion costs, and cleared out the raptors, even stole one with the mind control tech. So another wall being put up for Slysssa, and again, not many threats left for her. She's the Dread Infernal, she hasn't seen it yet. Bone Mare's been depleted, Giants are gone. My goodness, how did she get back into this?
Well, the nice thing is she does have some removal here, and then that hero powers continue to push some damage base for her, and she has at least 1 threat to throw on the board. So she's not out of it yet. She has options to keep pushing forward. And Audrey doesn't have any heal, so assuming that the board doesn't stick, and the thing is she needs a board to stick at this point, but so does Slysssa.
Dinomatic being offered from the hero power. That is I believe that's a board clear. Yeah, it will be for Audrey. The rush allowed the Dynamatics to make the trade after the bombs come down.
What a pickup there for Audrey. This is very back and forth, so well played by both players.
Yes, Slysssa making the best of what options she had. Oh, a Twilight Drake finally coming down, but it's just 3 health if she plays it here, and then the micro squad from Dr. Boom is going to be able to clear it. And Slysssa knows that she sees those 3 little 1/1s with Rush and says, I can't even play this Twilight Drake. Oh man, this is a tough position.
So many bloody diseases.
This is literally the tank being empty right here for Slysssa. And the thing is it's a hard place to sit when they're sitting at 11 health on their hero.
Okay, Slysssa not bothering to clear the 3/3, sending the hero power to the base. I like that play a lot. She recognizes she's not in any kind of danger from the 3/3. She can just start applying that hero power. But Audrey picked up the shield slam, so healing back up to 16, so she's still got life to go.
And we can see Audrey has the Hellfire in hand, and I think that or Slysssa has the Hellfire in hand. I think she's probably saving that for, if you will, burst damage. She does pick up the Doomsayer here, which doesn't seem terrible. If she's able to clear the board, she might take a little bit to face, but with that hero power, she's able to come right back. Well, I say that, but that's 6 on to that Doomsayer. That might not be the board swing that she wants after all. Or the trying the board swing.
I'm just gonna go with the Defile to clear off some of it, and yeah, Doomsayer is gonna land here and prevent Audrey from playing anything. But it's not the worst place for Odd Warrior to be. Oh, second shield block coming up. Second brawl.
This is exactly how the Odd Warrior stabilizes in the late game if they're able to hold on to the armor ups there.
Yeah, that Bulldozer's a huge minion coming off of the Discover at 9 min and 9/7. And I didn't check the deck list, but I don't think that Slysssa has any way to answer a minion like that. Like, he might Siphon Soul very, very uncommon for even Warlock. And yeah, I don't see a way for her to deal with that. Oh, that's gonna be a huge minion.
And she'll just be able to Audrey reaches for the Baku here. Maybe
yeah, what are you thinking there, Run? That's why Baku over the Bulldozer?
I'm not sure on that. Do you have an idea?
I was actually thinking the Bulldozer, being a mech, has Rush, and with no minion to attack, they're both just 7/8 sitting on the board. Not both 7/8, but they're both big minions, just not attacking anything. So she's gonna take that Bulldozer for a trade, I think.
Yes. Oh, and she knows that Slysssa still has the Dread Infernals or the Lich King in hand, so maybe saving that to clear that minion easily. That's a very good thought on Audrey's part.
Although she's thinking about it, she's tempted. Here
there
comes.
She goes.
Hey, why not?
And we can see one of the most interesting inclusions in Audrey's deck come out here, being the Darius Crowley. Cinder, why do you think she put that in the deck?
So Darius, in my opinion, he is just a strong minion by himself. Like, he's a growth minion. You know, every time he does something, he gets bigger, and he gets more and more difficult for the opponent to manage. He can remove stuff, small minions off the board in the mid game, and you know, he's just a nuisance. And I think Audrey's Odd Warrior in general is just a tiny bit more threat dense, has a couple of big minions that she can play, and I guess that's a shout to matchups where she might need a little extra pressure. But the Darius Crowley, I think he's a good minion. I don't know why he's not in more Odd Warrior lists. I think most people are so focused on the mirror match for Odd Warrior that Darius Crowley ends up getting. So I like him.
He's a very interesting inclusion here, and we do see that Slysssa picked up the Spellstone here, which will help her maybe clear some damage out here next turn. Unfortunately, it does mean she's taking 9 damage to face. So.
But she's also set off to 9 after that Hellfire. So Audrey's in the danger zone. She's 3 hero powers away from losing this matchup. So she's really gonna be praying to the RNG that she can get that Black Shield hero power from Dr. Boom. Oh,
and the crazy thing is she has yet to actually even receive the 7 armor, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're 5 or 6 turns in, and she's yet to actually get the armor. And yet again, she gets Micro Squad.
But you know, Audrey's she sees the clock, right? She's on a 3-turn clock from Slissa if nothing else goes her way. But Slissa's down to 1 card. So if Slissa cannot answer the board, she's gonna be taking, this is 16 damage. So I think Audrey's like, okay, you answer this now or I win. Well, there comes a Spellstone though. That's gonna put a dent in it.
That will definitely. But we can see, you know, her big threats that she has left. We know that there's some options sitting in Audrey's hand. So this is going to be interesting to see probably what card ends up coming off of the Lich King. So I think that's going to make all the difference here.
Oh, check this out though. Here. This is something that Audrey added to the deck. That's her other threat she's added to this deck to add some more threat density. And look at what it did in this situation. The magnetic comes in handy off the hero power, creating one of those microbots, and bam, all of a sudden she's got the board.
Wow, that was quite the pickup. Slyssa's got to be thinking about how she best clear this board. She has a couple answers in hand, but she really probably needs the hero power. But, you know, she has 2 options really on which way to go. So it'll be interesting to see what she ends up choosing to do, or more than 2.
Right. Audrey's decision to create some board tension, to add some minion pressure, forces Slissa to use the hero power defensively, takes that pressure off of Audrey's faceplate. So that gives her more time to just, for the briefest of moments, become the aggressor in this matchup where the Odd Warrior is almost always the defensive player. Oh, Direhorn hatchling, very, very helpful.
Very good pickup here, because nothing else is going face. I mean, the hero power can go to face, but when you can get something out in front of it, and a clear with Dynamic and the taunt.
Wow, that is a great turn for Audrey. Direhorn was so helpful at the top. Lich King is the last thing Slissa has to offer.
She needs some definite value here. Oh, and look at that. Audrey's down to 5 health.
It's really coming down to the wire here. The Zilliax,
the Zilliax. Oh.
Zilliax is going to heal. It's going to trade into the Lich King. The Zap Cannon will finish off. What a top deck for Audrey.
That... well, she didn't have any tech to get there, but I agree.
Goodness.
Oh, wow.
The Spellstone sitting in Slissa's hand is only good for 5, so she would have to use that in conjunction with the hero power to clear off the 6/6. But that's it. There's no more cards for Slissa.
Yeah, Slissa's got to be feeling that the writing's on the wall here, unfortunately, with Obliterate being the card that she received off of that. Had she gotten maybe a Frostmourne here, we would be singing a different story, but she goes ahead and takes that damage. I did not realize that interaction was that way.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of damage.
I mean, Slissa is looking at this and saying, hey, if you hope that the armor pickup is just killer here. Had she not picked that armor up, I could definitely see Slissa saying, hey, you're low on health, and I've got some heal here. You know, let's see if I can survive. That armor, though, was a huge pickup.
It really was. It gave Audrey just enough time to play out this Direhorn and force Slissa to once again find an answer. But look at this. The Direhorn hatchling, if Slissa clears it, puts a Matriarch in the deck. It's what we call it's a no-win situation. Like, there was just no way for her to clear the hatchling and also find us. So that means Audrey's going to take the first game here run, and she stays on the Warrior. So Slissa loses access to the Even Warlock in last year's standing. So what does she queue next in this lineup?
Let's see. So we know that the Hunters have been banned. And I think that she's probably going to be looking for maybe the Malagos, but the mirror might be something that she looks at her deck and feels that she, you know, maybe be able to take it down there. Oh wait, I'm sorry, she just played the Warlock. Forgive me. It's the Odd Warrior.
Right, the Odd Warrior. You said mirror. You were on the right track. No, I think you're right. I think Slissa, her build is a little bit more of a nod to the Odd Warrior mirror, and Audrey's has a little bit less of that long game sustain, that fatigue game in her deck. So this might be the best chance for Slysssa to stay in this series. Because, yeah, you're right. That Malygos Druid can have a really hard time getting over the armor gains from Odd Warrior.
I agree. That was such a well-played game. Probably, game planning for the next one, but she should definitely feel proud of the way she played that. Audrey had every answer, and Slysssa still managed to get her down to 5 health.
Yeah,
that was a pretty incredible game. Looking forward to seeing what she ends up picking. I agree. I think the Odd Warrior probably is going to win out in the choices, and we'll see, the difference in the builds, how that will really affect how this next match rolls down.
And something to note here, and it's a very subtle thing, but it was such a huge skill thing, an experience thing for Slysssa. She did not tap her life tap hero power very often. When we got towards the end of the match, they were both at about the same amount of cards in the deck. Of course, Audrey did lose 3 cards off of the Skulking Geist, but they were still almost about the same deck size. So Slysssa knew that drawing too aggressively gets you into fatigue faster against the Odd Warrior, and you got to have a little bit of restraint in the threat deployment. So very well played by Slysssa. For that alone, I would say that she knows how to play that matchup, even though it didn't go her way.
Yeah, her ability to use what was there was fantastic. There were times that I sat at them, I don't know what she was going to do here, and then she pulled out an amazing play. So many props to her for really making what was a tough matchup look like it was easy. She just didn't quite get what she needed right when she needed it.
Right. Yeah. If both the Odd Warrior and the Even Lock are that close to the end, they're. It was that really went down to the wire. That tells me they both were doing exactly what they needed to do, because that is a very close matchup. If both players know what they're doing.
Audrey did a very good job of management resource as well. She kept in hand what she needed to do. She, didn't overuse her cards. She trusted that there would be an answer to the next card in the deck if she absolutely had to have something. So she kept answers in her hands, and I think both were really well done.
I agree, and we are waiting for the players to queue into their second match, so bear with us while they may have had to take a quick break after that long game, and looks like they're about to start back up. So, looks like Audrey the Warrior.
Yeah.
Slysssa queues up a Warrior. All right, everybody, make a snack, get yourself some coffee.
Get comfortable. We're gonna be here.
So the keep here for Audrey, she throws back all of the removal and defensive stuff. Slysssa, considering what event of anything she keeps out of that grouping, and in this Odd Warrior matchup, 2 things are going to be really important. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Run, but the 2 things I think you're looking for as in this mirror match are cards that make more cards, like the Direhorn Hatchling. Like, do either of them run? What's the 5-mana 5/5 that gives you the Uncoral attack?
Oh my goodness, I can see her in my head.
Right? Oh man.
I don't think I saw that in either.
All my casting friends are gonna have my head for actually forgetting a card. But cards that make more cards, A, and B, silence effects, right? Ways to keep the other warrior from putting cards into the deck via the Direhorn Hatchling and other, any other effects that might come up. So then, of course, Faceless Manipulator also enters that equation, because you can Faceless a Direhorn Hatchling and get more Matriarchs and make your deck that much bigger. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking both of these players are going to be looking for here.
Elise the Trailblazer. There it is. Probably so I was paying attention, but it just came to me. And you can see Slysssa throw away her Faceless. So I think we're on the right track. She was looking for cards that create cards.
And there may be a case here as well in these long games where we're looking at these 2 hands here, and both of them have drawn into a lot of the defensive tools: removal, taunts, card draw, which will probably shield blocks will probably never get played in this matchup. Neither getting any of the duplicate effects that they want to play. Audrey's just gonna pull the trigger on this war here and get things started. Yes,
the Odd Warrior is such a
I think
To see who's gonna go first.
Run your mic cut for a brief second there. Maybe make sure your plug is all the way in. But yeah, I think you were gonna say that. Nope, you're back. Okay, so what were you saying?
I was gonna say, oftentimes it can almost feel like a game of chicken to see who's gonna actually make the first move. You know, when there's so much removal and things like that, it's like, do I really want to use my war gear here? What do I want to do? Do I want to hold? Do I want to let them go? You know, it's just so reactive.
Right, and interestingly too, it's also a question of is this enough to force the other warrior to deploy some of their resources, right? So if you can bait out the shield slam, the super collider, it opens the door for bigger threats later on with like Baku the Moon Eater, you know, or Audrey with the inclusion of Darius Crowley. Like that's also something that Slysssa has to consider here, and also hand size run.
What now?
The other consideration for playing an early card for the Ad Warrior is not burning cards because you've got 10 cards and nothing to remove on the board.
Yeah, that is true. So that is a good point. And so we're going to see the war gear and dynamic come down. Maybe Audrey has that. Slysssa does throw out that super collider. Probably a good place for it here.
Yeah, and interestingly, she hits the 3/4 instead of the 5/2 because the super collider doesn't clear both minions. So she's taking less damage there to clear off the 3/4, the dynamic. But the war gear stays and gets in more damage.
Yeah. So we see our first Direhorn hatchling from Slysssa. So, and we know that Audrey, a faceless manipulator. Oh, a gluttonous ooze.
Ooh, very nice pickup in this match as well. Keeping that super collider offline. You hate to see a matriarch go into the deck in a mirror match, but I think Audrey felt like she didn't have any other way to deal with that hatchling.
Cleanly deal with it, yeah.
Yeah. And also maybe respecting the possibility of a faceless to dump even more Direhorn matriarchs into the deck. Because as we checked the deck list going into this, and Audrey's only running the single owl. So it's not like she can wait for it forever.
Okay, so we see our first dynamic coming down from Slysssa. You can see that the hand sizes are starting to get quite large on Slyssa's side at 9 cards. Audrey is definitely throwing out threats at a faster pace.
Yeah, and I think Audrey, you know, their two deck builds are fairly different, and Audrey recognizes that she has the more threat-dense version, and she probably wants to get this aggression going, because if both players are trying to get to the fatigue game, the slightest advantage is going to tip the scales, and I think the fact that she had to clear that Direhorn hatchling and put in a matriarch is kind of like, okay, now I'm behind, so now I have to start playing it as the aggressor.
But we can see here, you know, if we look, Audrey's at 51 and Slyssa's at 35. Now that can change in an instant, but that tends to be a big indicator of how this game will go. If someone gets so much further ahead in that, oh, Audrey going for a boom here.
Yeah, I like it. Again, she's chosen her role in this matchup as the aggressor. Dr. Boom, definitely the more aggressive line as opposed to sticking with the tank, the passive tank up hero power. But now Slyssa's starting to counter pressure herself, putting down the hungry Etten, or the furious Etten.
He's probably hungry too.
I mean, yeah, there is a hungry Etten. I think that's the 4/10 taunt, and the furious one is the 5/9. So single hit super collider along with the dynamic clears the board. Audrey's back in the driver's seat. Slysssa got to start playing passively again. And there's not a whole lot of. There's just not much going on in Slyssa's hand. Oh, there's a matriarch. I didn't even see that come up.
Yeah, a golden matriarch always.
And I would be interested to see how long she holds this matriarch run, because, you know, there's always the possibility of it getting shield slammed while Audrey still has a ton of armor. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her just hold on to it forever. And actually, Slysssa drew a card, which I find interesting.
That is interesting. Maybe because she felt like she was ahead in the game, she could do that here, is my guess.
Oof, Omega Assembly, a big pickup, though.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, a 6/9 is nothing to sneeze at either. If she doesn't have it, and, you know, we can see that she's only drawn through half of her deck, so there's a good possibility that she doesn't have an answer to 6/9.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I think we already saw a shield slam from Audrey.
Yes, we've seen one.
Okay, so yeah, so the chances of the other one being in hand are, you know, reasonably low. Look at this, Audrey going for a brawl here to clear the 6/9, and wins the brawl.
Wins it, yeah.
Yep.
And your favorite card stayed on the board.
Oh man, look, I love the Eternium Rover. I just don't think that there's enough space in the Odd Warrior formula for the Rover. You know, it's just he's so low impact. I love him to death, but he's so low impact in this matchup. So, but you know what? Off of a Discover or an Omega Assembly, he can be huge, especially when you're in Dr. Boom mode, because then you can start slapping on magnetics. You can attack immediately, get more armor. So yeah, he definitely has a place. I don't want to knock him too much.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I definitely bringing keys to someone at one point, so I liked him a lot. I realize now that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, the magnetic does come into play here for Slysssa. She slaps a Zilliax on a Dynamatic and clears that Eternium Rover before it gets too big. But Audrey getting more mechs off that hero power, and then she's got a decent amount of threat in her hand. And the other thing that we haven't mentioned, Run, is Azalina Soul Thief. And if Audrey just continues to aggressively deploy threats, she can just refill her hand with Azalina and play with all the cards that Slyssa's been holding this whole time.
That's a very good point, Cinder. Between that, being able to have answers to clear the boards and whatnot, and the hero power off of Boom, it definitely helps her be more aggressive in this matchup without looking back on resources.
Right, and she's doing just that, putting down as many ways to attack into that magnetic mech as she can, getting it down to 2 health to allow that little spawn minion. What's it even called? It's a guard bot. Guard bot trade for Audrey.
And we can see a dire horn hatchling has come into the hand there this last turn, so she actually is starting to build her own board, or build her own deck back up as well.
Yeah, you're right. And Audrey's actually ahead on cards as well, 14 versus Slyssa's 13. So if Audrey can keep applying this pressure and not totally gas out, she might be able to win this SE Aggressor, which is
oh my goodness. Did I see what I just thought I thought? I did.
Mechathune came off of the Omega Assembly. That's a big boy.
That is a big guy right off the bat. But we can also see that Slyssa's been holding on to that Faceless Manipulator, and I think that it's time that she's going to be playing it, because this helps her in the fatigue game as well.
Right, yeah, this is with Audrey deploying the Direhorn Hatchling, Slysssa can copy it and add one of to her own deck. She picks up hers, and she also picked up an Owl last turn, so Faceless Owl tank up seems pretty good here.
Seems like an excellent turn, actually. We can also see, you know, we had talked a little bit earlier, Slysssa being at 35 health and Audrey being at 62, and we can see how big of a difference it makes when Boom does come down, all the value he provides. But look at Slysssa, she's at the 49 health now. Scratch that, 53 health now. That's huge in this match.
Yeah, and this big game hunter is not going to realize any value now against the Odd Warrior unless Slysssa, like, well, I don't know what she does. She did pick up that Mechathune, so hopefully Audrey doesn't get tempted to tempo out that 5/4, or excuse me, the 4/2. Okay, that'll answer that Mechathune perfectly. But yeah, the duplication of the Faceless plus the Owl means that Slysssa can retake the advantage in the deck size. So Audrey's gonna really be trying to continue playing this aggressive role to try and close this matchup out.
And we can see that Audrey, when here the shield slams are both still in hand. She knows her matchup, knowing that she does not want to lose in the fatigue game. So she's doing an excellent job making sure she values her resources well.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt though, being forced to throw that matriarch into your opponent's deck. My goodness. Reckless Flurry not going to be terribly helpful here. A little too high in the armor game to really consider that, unless you can guarantee that the opponent can't play any more threats. So, but plenty of removal still to go. Shield Slam still in hand for Slysssa. Brawl still a possibility. Another Owl for if another hatchling comes out. Mechathon, here he comes!
Oh, he's so big!
I'm
in a bucket.
under pressure, but unfortunately, Audrey's got the answer.
The big game.
For Audrey. We know it's coming. We're just holding our breath for this big game, Hunter. Oh, it feels bad, man.
There he goes. Goodbye, Mech.
It was a valiant effort on the part of the mechanical old god, but it was not to be. Direheart Matriarch coming in the hand for Slysssa, so more threats if she wants to continue to challenge the sport here, Run.
And she's actually meeting at a good point because she doesn't have. You know, the Audrey's used quite a few for large minion removal. So this is a good point where she can start to maybe build up a little bit larger of a board by maybe using some of hers.
Right, like it's just Slyssa's hand is just so passive right now, you know, and I know she's got to be worried. Like there's 8 attacks and minions plus the zap cannon. So oh look at this, Slyssa's just gonna brawl it.
Interesting. I don't mind that here, honestly. Oh, it lives. My goodness, how many dire see?
Yeah, I don't hate that at all, because even if Slysssa loses the brawl, it puts another matriarch in the deck, and the two players emoting at each other. They knew that was a little bit of high roll, so respecting one another with the emotes. Zap Cannon gonna partially answer this Direheart hatchling.
Well, and knowing both Slysssa and I, fun, very personable personality, so that was all in good jest and fun.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Second Owl for Slysssa.
Oh, there we go.
No matriarchs for Audrey in this game. Both hatchlings have been silenced. There's a pretty big advantage for Slysssa going into the long game. If she can keep this pressure at bay for long enough, she can try and win this in fatigue.
And that's, again, you know, we mentioned it earlier, why a lot of people like the second Owlet for them. So that you can't get those matriarchs back into the deck. Right.
And one of the things you kind of have to consider is, you know, if you're going to play the hatchling, do you have a way to kill it as well? And that's why we saw Slysssa play the hatchling and then try to brawl it away. But of course, Audrey did not have her owl in hand to silence it. So Slyssa's going to be able to get another matriarch in the deck here.
Audrey's sitting with trying to just figure out what to do here. Her hand isn't looking as clean as it has for answers in the past few rounds, but she isn't hurting for cards to tempo out either.
Right.
So, and we're using Micro Squad for her hero power, which is able to help clean up a lot of the board.
Yeah, I think she can actually trade this whole board away with Zilliax plus a Microbot and the trade from the existing hatchling. Yeah, she's going to clear it all out. But Audrey's kind of running out of offense in that hand run. Like 2 MCTs, I can't imagine Slyssa's ever going to play into the mind control tech. She doesn't want to hit those shield blocks like you mentioned, and then she's got a super collider. There's really not much going on in this hand.
No, there's really not. But if she gets into dire, that she can just Azalina and go on with her day.
Yeah, you're right. So at some point, Audrey's got to consider, is Slyssa's hand better than mine? And just slam that Azalina. And of course, if she does so, she'll get the matriarch. But
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if Slysssa plays it yet.
Slysssa may have it in the back,
I wonder.
and Azelina could be incoming. But I'm not sure that it's worth it with the board that Audrey has right now.
Well, Slysssa drawing another card. Like I could definitely understand that. I think Slysssa just is looking at her hand like, what do I do in this situation? Like, she doesn't want to deploy any of this. Matriarch will just get traded away. Super Colliders only is not going to clear the board here.
Mm-mm. I mean, that's one of the things that the Odd Warrior matchup is sometimes these hands just look like nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
They're so reactive, and they just get to a point where they have no. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Jeez.
What?
Another
in the world?
Ziliax for Audrey.
That Audrey picks up what? That the third Ziliax for her?
I think that's the third one she's been
My
offered.
stars!
Got one off an
That's-
Omega Assembly earlier, I think, and then like 2 off of the hero power. Like, that's just goodness. And I'll give Audrey credit too for the positioning there. Putting that microbot in the middle after the trades means that the Super Collider doesn't clear anything. So heads up positioning there from Audrey. But yeah, now she's, do I play out the Ziliax and put on more pressure because there's that Super Collider's
Okay then.
basically saying don't build too big because the Super Collider's just gonna clear the board.
I love that view.
Super Collider is so powerful. It is such a strong weapon, and it's annoying, needless to say, to play around when you're playing this matchup, for
Oh, yeah.
sure. So Audrey doing an excellent job making sure that she does her best to play around it.
And you know, something else that if you haven't played with the Super Collider before, for those watching, like if a minion is at 1 health and you hit it with a Super Collider, it just dies. The Super Collider effect doesn't happen. So if that was intentional from Audrey by making sure that it got set to 1 so that the Super Collider has no effect here, it's very, very smart on her.
That was, yeah, very heads up play on Audrey's part, for sure.
Slysssa still not a ton to do. Picked up another brawl. And it's just, it's like I can understand she definitely doesn't want to use these reckless flurries. She's been holding these shield slams for quite a while, and you know, as a last resort in case Audrey picks up, like, say, a Mechathune off of delivery drone. So yeah, and she doesn't want to play the Matriarch because it'll just get traded down. There's 11 attack or 10 attack on board.
Yeah.
So
And-
Matriarch just dies.
It's unfortunate for Slysssa. Boom. She does in fact, I know you guys can't see the deck list at home, but she does in fact have a Boom in this deck list, a Dr. Boom. So
Yes.
the fact that she has not drawn it has really limited the value that she can do in this matchup.
Slysssa she pulls the trigger on this wall. Oh, this is actually the result she wanted because now she can clear that 4-1 with the weapon if she wants to. Oh,
She chooses
Okay.
not to. Interesting.
Well, you know, it's just 4 attack, and she has a taunt in hand, so I don't hate it, but oh my goodness, look at this Ziliax and the magnetic back onto it. Oh man. More Ziliax.
And
Audrey has a fever, and the prescription for Ziliax.
I was gonna go with early for Audrey, but that works too.
Oh man, and Slysssa was already like really
What
reticent to
now?
clear this board, and leaving that 4-1 up allowed Audrey to play down another Ziliax, and all of a sudden Slysssa once again with her back against the wall here.
Yeah, and it could have been Slysssa literally ran out of time there to be able to with the weapon. She may
That's
have
true.
spent the time on the turn and then wanting to attack, but just could not get the attack in fast enough. Nor could you probably call the fact that another Ziliax would come off.
No, you can't. There's no way you play around that. There's no planet where you're like, what's the chances she just got a 3rd Ziliax over that? Probably not part of her calculations. But it's, I think maybe you consider, if I can clear a mech, do I do so to prevent any magnetics from coming down, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I genuinely timing thing there instead of a choice. But, it would be so interesting to be able to go back to Slysssa and ask her, what why leave that open there? So
Yeah, and you can find all these players on Twitter. You can follow them all on Twitch. When they're streaming, so you have opportunities to interact with great players. But look at this, Slysssa finally off these threats and finally gets that dire horn down behind the gluttonous ooze. Audrey with no immediate answer in hand to deal with this 6-9.
And that ooze just feels so good.
Yeah,
I'm sure to Slysssa just being able to get rid of that super collider.
Gem-studded golem pretty good here. Oh, Audrey's gonna pull the trigger on the brawl though. She gets the result, or at least half the result she wanted. She definitely wanted to take care of that matriarch, but the hero power will take care of the booms. Slysssa, no threats. Oh, there's the Dr. Boom though.
Boom, and that probably has to come down to knowing that Azalina is in hand.
So, but here's an interesting interaction though. They both now have Azalina. So
yeah,
they're just gonna whoever pulls the trigger first is gonna end up just getting the other Azalina, and that's gonna be that was a Stonehill that produced. Wait, that second gem-studded golem I didn't see where that one came from.
I believe that came off of the hero power.
The hero power? I don't.
No,
I don't think so. I don't know. But you know what though? It's a big minion, and Slysssa has no way to answer it. So the Omega Assembly though, that picked up some options. Steel Rager can punch into the gem-studded golem, clear a little space out, and along with the Zap Cannon, she can answer this threat. But the armor up hero power is now out of the equation.
Would be a good time for
Both players are at 4. Audrey's on the draw, so she's down a card. So Slysssa playing Boom, maybe sensing that one card advantage is enough to keep her in this game. But this is, people say that Odd Warrior matchups are boring run. I find these to be incredibly interesting run.
I think they're also very skill testing. Not only that, but knowing how to save your resources. And then once you do get into the boom, the choices that the players make is so much more interesting for sure.
Yep. Well, there's the other Stonehill for Audrey, so another possibility for threat generation.
Oh my stars! No way! No way! I think somebody's trolling us right now. That is a 4.
Ziliax.
4 Ziliax.
Well, Blizz, if somebody's in the back pulling the Ziliax lever up and down for Audreykills, we know you. We see you over there.
We see you. You are there. We got your number, okay? We got it.
Oh, wait a minute, though. The Azalina's finally coming into consideration for Slysssa.
Interesting.
Well, she saw the Stonehill and then didn't play the taunt behind it, so she knows that Audrey's hanging on to something big. So the Azalina means more threats, but she decided against it, goes with the security rover instead, and this gives the board to Slysssa. So Audrey's on the play here. She's got to do something about this.
Yes, this definitely becomes a very interesting place with the Azalina in hand. She's got Ziliax, Faceless Manipulator. Audrey's got some options to make some very interesting plays here.
Oh yeah, like Faceless shenanigans are something else with these Odd Warrior mirrors. There's so many crazy things you can do with a Faceless in the right board. But look at this though, Audrey.
Interesting.
Guard bot to get
Oh.
that is really clever. I love it. And she hovered over that Ziliax.
She's like, another Ziliax. What to do?
Do I go for the 4th Ziliax? Is that too much? Well, I tell you what, though, Run, like, I think it might be worth holding the Ziliax, because at some point, they're going to start taking damage.
Mm-hmm.
And Ziliax represents healing, and that can be very, very big in the in-game fatigue calculations, and Audrey holds on to it, so I like that. I think that's a good call.
The only thing that I would kind of be considering, and good or bad on that, is that we know that Slyssa's has the Aslian, and so would Audrey. And so knowing that we may give our opponent a Ziliax, how do we feel about that? So
yeah,
you know, it might not be a bad scenario. It may not, or maybe not an unavoidable one.
right.
Okay then.
Yeah, like play the Ziliax so that your opponent can't take it off of an Azalina play. Certainly a consideration, and this is something for Slysssa. She has an opportunity to maybe magnetic up with the replicating menace, or maybe she takes the Eternium Rover for more armor, which can also be a big deal in the fatigue calculations.
That it can. Although, I mean, Coppertail Imposter's cute, so...
Cuteness factor, certainly something to consider. She goes...
Value factor, eh.
Yeah, this is not bad. This trades in, produces 3 more minions.
And clears the board, while still allowing damage. Very good plan, Slyssa's very solid.
Uh-oh. We just that's the warning that we're entering into that fatigue phase. Audrey down to her last card. Slysssa 2 cards away from fatigue. And Slysssa has a small board, but it is a board. And she's still holding that Super Collider. So Audrey can't even play anything too big without having to keep it at just that, right? She can't pair 2 minions together because the Super Collider is a threat there.
Yeah, that definitely is harder to handle here. Now, having that face potentially be a decent play for her here because of the Divine Shield. But
oh, well, she tapped the hero power though, so she's not gonna have enough mana to do both.
oh right,
Oh, she's going for the Ziliax though.
she's going. Oh, I want her to get the Assembly. There's still Omega Assembly. There's still hope.
Yes. Well, Audrey did pick up that second assembly, finally deploying the shield slam. I think she wants to make room for that Omega Assembly and continue playing for more aggression. Ooh, Slysssa picked up the Baku right after Audrey just expended that shield slam.
Oh wow, what a pickup!
Out of my jungle.
Not a great offering there from the Stonehill.
No.
Nice though. Blue Meter's got poisonous. It represents a minion clear. Yeah, I like it.
Yummy shroomies.
And it's golden.
Yeah. Why can't gotta go with always go with the gold. And Slysssa gonna expend a charge to clear that Ziliax. She learned her lesson on the last match. So now Audrey's down to nothing. Oh no, though. Darius Crowley would be a great play here if not for the Gloom Eater.
The Gloom Eater was such a good choice there. Discover a mech.
Well, okay. None of these minions though clear the Gloom Eater though. The Gloom Eater is a very difficult minion to deal with here, and she's gonna go with the Beryllium Nullifier, which actually is a great minion in this matchup.
Yeah, we can see that because of the magnetic and the stat line are fantastic. How Troll Gloom Eater on the board, it's very refreshing. So she is going to expend the owl here, and we see the Crowley go down. That's a great play.
Yeah, this Crowley immediately becomes a 6/5, difficult for Slysssa to clear. Although she does have the shield slam in combination with. That'll clear it cleanly. The zap cannon can be combined with some other effects. So there's ways for her to clear this, but I do like the just forcing Slysssa to keep coming up with answers because they're out of cards. She can't clear forever.
That is true. So we're gonna see. It looks like the matriarch come down here. And she chooses to use her Shield Slam on the Crowley. Very interesting choice. Using the Gloom Meter, I'm assuming, to clear the owl, but maybe not really worried about that minion.
I think any damage on board is not wanted. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her trade in. Now, Audrey here she's down to no threats. Beryllium Nullifier and that's it. Although the Omega Assembly is going to refill the hand a little bit.
Oh, no way. Oh my goodness, chat, are you seeing this right now? Well, you will in a few minutes. Are you seeing this?
Oh my goodness.
Five Ziliaxes. Is that even statistically possible? Like,
Goodness. But then, like, but how does she use it in this situation? Like, it doesn't answer the matriarch. She's got to do something about this matriarch. And she could. Oh, she's gonna faceless it. Looks like. Oh, she probably needed to faceless it before she did damage to the board.
Order there.
Yeah, she knew it. She knows it was a mistake. It's just fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long match.
Super long game. No, those things happen, and not the end of the match by any means for her. So, we can see both players sitting. Let's see, we've got 2 shield slams on Audrey, 2 reckless furies. Neither of those are good cards for them. So we're really just sitting with Azalina's and Beryllium Nullifier and Ziliax on one, and then Azalina and Baku on the other.
And Slyssa's been holding on to that faceless for quite a while, and that long hold is paying off dividends now. This board is finally starting to swing decisively in Slyssa's favor, and Audrey, at some point, she's going to have to consider using those reckless flurries to relieve pressure.
Yes, we do see some more armor come out for Audrey power, but she just has no great answer to dealing with. I'm sorry, my dog decided to interrupt.
Same though, same.
But we don't see a great answer on that for the matriarchs. So she's really got to be thinking about these reckless furies.
Yeah, Audrey. Nullifier. So Audrey now down to just the Ziliax and just whatever possibly she can get off of hero powers, off of Azalina. But Audrey's definitely on the back foot here. This has been a very well navigated by Slysssa, to be quite honest. She was keeping careful count of the cards in both decks. She was metering out these threats and keeping close count of Audrey's removals.
This would be a good time for
And has gotten to a position where that one matriarch is gonna carry this game for Slysssa.
It is, and that's where the mirror match having such a big deal, and we see how she used that now. And we're gonna see.
Looks like
Okay.
she's considering, I think, the Ziliax on the Goblin Bomb to
Okay.
just to put up another minion. You know, leave no opportunity for the Super Collider to get any value, just a single minion. This is going to be a clean trade for Slysssa with the Zap Cannon. So this matriarch once again, it's going to stick, but
Just gonna go face.
Audrey picked up Zap Cannon as well.
Oh.
But Baku's still in the hand for Slysssa, so she's still one step ahead.
I think it's gonna be some Azalina shenanigans.
At some point, it has to happen. And Audrey, depending on how carefully she's been counting the cards in Slyssa's deck, she might know. I mean, if she's counting, she knows that Baku's over there. So Azalina would pick it up and throw out these useless cards in her hand.
And then in turn get another Azalina, which is fun.
But at the same time, even if she does pick up Baku, Slysssa just has a superior position. So I don't know if it's enough.
I think that the way that Audrey gets back, literally pick up the right hero powers at the right time, and that's pretty much it. So.
Yeah, she's got the Slysssa goes with the Azalina.
Oh
I mean,
no!
It's honestly, it's okay. Slysssa is ahead on board, so this is fine. It just gives Slysssa perfect information, and she's gonna see that Audrey has nothing.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, and that pretty much will be it for them. Like they can
I think
trade out
so.
back and but it's gonna basically come down to what ends up coming out of these hero
Okay,
powers.
then.
Right.
And who gets the most value.
Yeah, it's if a high roll can come out of one of these hero powers, I think it's Audrey's only out. She's got a zap cannon into that 6/2. Although she's probably thinking maybe I just use the reckless flurry.
This would
I'm
be
about
a
to lose
good
all this
time
armor
for a
anyway.
master plan.
May as well take 7
Yeah.
instead of taking 10 or 11.
And you're right, that's exactly where she decided to end up going.
So
Using that
now it's,
reckless theory.
now it's a fatigue race. It's going to be decided by hero powers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
You're so.
Azalina. Well, Azalina, 3.
I mean, why
So-
not? You don't have anything else to do, so you might as well get a 3/3 on the board, right?
Delivery drone, though. Big roll
that's
for
a
Slysssa.
huge pickup for Slysssa. So, and I'm sure we'll see the other Azalina come down.
Just continuing to trade Azalinas back and forth.
You're
Well,
so.
it's a fair play. Like you both players have to continue answering the 3/3. Like that represents a significant acceleration in the fatigue game. But Slyssa's gonna get the delivery drone.
Oh, wow.
William nullifier is so good here.
Yeah, that is an excellent pickup
man.
for her. So being able to build minions with a 3/3 on there, yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna get the trade with the Azalina that's on board, and then
Oh,
maybe
interesting.
she might be able to magnetic stuff further down the road because Audrey has no way to clear this now.
Yeah, magnetic is a really good pickup as well. And we see that she actually ends up getting some micro squad here. Oh, and Audrey picks up
This-
divine shield.
Oh man, the bulldozer though. She can't play that. None of these minions. Oh my goodness, Audrey. None of these minions clear the 3/5. Oh no. Well, Ziliax. If you saw 6
This
when it
would
wouldn't
be a
even
good
help her in
time
this
for a
position.
master
She
plan.
really needed like the spark drill or something to do a 5/1. Or to do 5 damage. And there's just nothing to do here. Does she just take the bulldozer and try to play it next turn? I think that shuts out the hero power.
Mm.
Man.
It's tough to say. Oh, she ends up going with the magnetic.
Oh, that's right. You know what? The death rattle. It's going to summon the macrobots, and that's a clear. That's right.
That is a clear. Yes,
Good
good
call.
thinking, Audrey.
Yep. Credit for her keeping her wits about her and looking past the stats and remembering what these cards actually do. Another Azalina coming down. We're just going to see this every single turn. Both players are going to continue to play Azalinas to create more 3/3s and hit those hero powers every turn.
We can see that Slysssa is still controlling the board, even after here, continuing to have more and more value. It's going to be, on the Zap Cannon, it's going to do a little bit here, but every point of damage at this point is 1 point closer.
Slysssa is just so far ahead on the health total, though. It's even though the fatigue is
Oh.
very, very close, like Audrey just doesn't have any way to stay in it. I don't.
I give up.
Yes, and Audrey just sees that there's no way for her to
You.
clear the board here. So she gives it up, and we go to 1-1.
1/1, and Slyssa's gonna stay on the Odd Warrior. Now it's Audrey's turn to queue up a new deck, and this is her first loss, so she has access to her even lock and her even paladin. I don't think she wants to throw the even paladin into the Odd Warrior. That's trouble.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. That even paladin with so many points of removal, single minion removal plus silence effect. The even paladin, sorry, will just struggle to get there.
And you know what? An Odd Warrior mirror will turn anyone's brain to jelly. So I don't think anybody's
But we
gonna.
do see she.
Nobody's gonna credit us for the occasional brain
Holy fire.
there.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, Audrey going for the even paladin here. Oh my goodness, that is risky. But
Mhm.
you know what though? There is logic in the last hero standing strategy run. You and I have talked about this before. We've done a lot of
Mhm.
last hero standing play, And sometimes you just queue the worst one and get it out of the way and try to get that good deck as your last deck to give yourself the best odds to win it in 5 games. So I'm not terribly surprised here that Audrey went with the even paladin, even though this is a very tough matchup for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good thought. What she could be looking at is, I don't want to lose with my even lock, for the future matchups. If I lose with it, then will this paladin be able to get me there? And she may have decided, no, that it cannot get me there, and I would rather try to win with it now and, push forward with the even lock with better matchups.
Right, yeah, because if she manages to win with the even paladin, the paladin's pretty good into Malygos Druid. I mean, I will say the Malygos Druid in a good player's hands can accomplish anything. That's why it's so popular. But for right now, though, Audrey getting a decent start off. Corpse Taker in hands. Amani Berserker is a nice early play at the 2-drop, and then Argent Commander. So she's got options to get the aggression started.
Time for a little blood.
We see double Super Collider, Reckless Fury, and Slyssa's hand. So she's got some removal options, but does she really want to use them, in early game? I think that's what she's probably considering. She doesn't have a whole lot else besides that going on.
Yeah, the tank up is 4, and only 3 are being represented on 3 damages on the board now. So I think she probably feels she has time.
Yeah.
But this Corpse Taker is going to get coined out.
Winter is here.
Once again, good positioning from Audrey playing around that Super Collider, even though Slysssa can't play it here in turn 4, but good positioning.
Yeah, I agree. Audrey's been very, and that's really hard to do after 2 very long matchups, very mentally draining, if you will, matchups. It's hard to remember the little things like, where do I position something? So Audrey should definitely get some credit for her ability to remember positioning.
And this is why she's one of the up and coming, badass women in the Hearthstone community. She's shown some real chops in competitive play. Look at this, Slysssa reaching for the Reckless Fury already. That's I don't hate it, but it's a desperation play for sure, and it's just a good thing that Audrey does not have the Blessing of Kings on 4, because that would have been real trouble.
Yes, yeah, and that's probably what Slysssa was worried about is whether Audrey had that or not, because there would have been almost no way to clear that with the Divine Shield if she didn't use it sooner rather than later. So that was a good heads up play by Audrey or by Slysssa.
Oh, the auto defense matrix is gonna prevent that Corpse Taker from being traded away by say Super Collider. 6 damage going downtown already, and Slysssa drawn into a brawl though.
This is what as a want to see happen. You want to see the Odd Warrior health going down. No, no real armor gain. So, and she's picked up the cards she needs. So it'll be interesting to see, the answers that Slysssa comes up with here.
50-50 on the Corpse Taker hitting the right minion.
Oh, and it doesn't. And then she picks up an Echo.
Oh, sound the bells. That's a ton of damage. That's gonna be 10 damage coming down just from the Corpse Taker here. Oh man, what a bad result for Slysssa here. I don't see any world where you don't go sound the bells.
Yeah. Picking up an extra 4 damage and then some health on that minion.
A 5/5 Wind Fury this early in the game. Slysssa down to just 11 health. Hero Power setting up another 50-50. The brawl is enough, but the brawl might have to be enough.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It has to be.
She could just lose this right now.
Oh, when we see it go down.
Oof. Sweating
But
bullets.
Look at that.
Blessing of Kings. My goodness. It's not quite there. But there's no. I don't see any way for Slysssa to answer this in hand.
All she can really do is just throw out that dire horn.
Yeah, dire horn and pray. Yeah.
So, and that's exactly what the Odd Warrior wants to when it's ready to start stabilizing. 4 health is huge. You do see that she's not without answers though.
No.
In her hand to this.
All kind of power turns coming up for Audrey here. Argent Commander's an option. True
Right.
Silver will dump in some more damage.
I think, Audrey's probably lamenting that they're not
Options.
good options with turn 8. But we
Yeah,
do see her bump in and a True Silver come down. And
Yeah.
back to 5 health.
Yeah, gonna dump in 4 more damage for Slysssa down to 5.
And Slysssa, I mean, she does have a way to gain quite a bit of
man.
armor here. But she's looking down.
Dynamatic was a huge pickup for Slysssa though. This is the only way she had to clear the board in hand.
But she's got Shield Slam, or I'm sorry, not Shield Slam, she's got her Hero Power
Right.
stabilized. So we do see quite a bit of good stuff for her. Shield block. That's
Yeah, shield block to pick up
and she
pick up
picks
some more
up
removal.
a taunt. That feels pretty good.
This is so close. Audrey's 1 off here. 2 off, excuse me.
For a little blood.
But yeah, this Spike Steed is gonna try and guarantee that Audrey can get a minion to stick for that bone there next turn. Down to 6 for Slysssa.
But Slysssa does have a lot of options here to kind of try to stay alive. We might see a Bronze Gatekeeper here. Oh, but the Corner Sentry isn't terrible either. Although we don't really want to give minions to buff. So, because we do see like Sunkeeper Terram in hand, so
True.
probably not a Corner Sentry, but being able to throw down another minion cheaply is very nice.
Yeah, and the magnetic effect on the Bronze Gatekeeper is certainly a thought. They can stick it on that Dynamatic and make a very big taunt. That'd be a
Oh,
4/9.
and we do
There
see
it goes.
that that way. But we do see the Sunkeeper Terram in hand, knowing that there are some options here for Audrey to still continue to move forward.
It's just not quite there. And the bone there is a little risky thanks to the super still being in play. So there's like 4/9 is going to be really tough for. Does she run equality in this deck? I have to wonder.
I can't imagine her not running a deck.
For sure.
So.
Equality right here would be so big, but she doesn't have it. She hasn't seen it yet.
And Audrey has a large. So I think this is probably going to be maybe where we our keeper just to be able to do that. She knows that Slysssa has big game hunter in hand, so is that in the back of her mind that that could be in her hand? And we with caster vision can see it is.
Well,
But-
it's that's. I mean, you're right. It's a big risk. Like, you can't make anything too big and run the risk of just one piece of removal just blowing your big minion off the board. So yeah, Argent Commander gonna just kind of be a halfway measure here if she goes with it. But I mean, it is. She just needs to just keep this board tension in place for just a bit longer. But this is just giving Slysssa more and more time.
To stabilize. Yeah, that hero power can get her back up into a healthy life total very quickly.
I've got the beast.
Yeah.
And then we see the big game hunter come down.
Yep. And honestly, the Omega Assembly wasn't half bad either. She got unpowered steam box, a big wall of health to punch through. War gear for a magnetic effect. That was a pretty good pickup off the Omega Assembly.
Indeed, but we can see that Slyssa's definitely not out of the woods yet. Oh, and she decides to take face here with the Super Collider.
Wow.
So, and there goes all of Audrey's minions. So, but still at 12 health.
Yeah, I mean, Audrey still got quite a lot of power in her hand, but she needs to turn this board back into her favor and keep Slyssa's health total as low as she can. Because one thing about these even paladins run, no card draw. So what you have in hand is generally what you have to work with. So you got to be really careful not to overdo it and run into like a big brawl or something like that. So Audrey has to do this very, very smartly.
Yeah, and she's taking her time and trying to decide what it is that she wants to do. And it's somewhat of a difficult position to be in because you run such large minions in this even paladin. So with the ability to only throw one down. Okay, so we see her go for the Sunkeeper here. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. She had a limited number of options.
Right, probably thinking that's the best Sunkeeper Tarim I'm gonna get this whole game. You know, just to at least get into a superior position on the board. But we see that second Dynamatic just came into hand for Slysssa, or the War Gear still is still in play. Ooh, that's gonna hurt.
But at least if she picks up the 6 Wapus, is able to throw another minion down, get rid of that. Oh, she's gonna choose Concentrate. Okay.
Yeah, she's got to trade in to clear off that big taunt minion. But again, the Dynamatics just waiting to hit the board and clear this out. Slysssa, I think Slyssa's turned the corner here. I think she's so close to the edge. 5 health. I mean, Audrey was just like one really good top deck away from just running away with a very difficult matchup. Oh, Spellbreaker, that would have been so useful about 3 or 4 turns ago.
Yes, it would have. We do see the ooze come down now with the Spiker Cheese. That's a fairly good sized minion. Unfortunately, Slysssa has, or unfortunately, is already back up to 16 health.
Yeah.
And we can see that, you know, she's got some answers now in her hand to be able to just close this game out, unless Audrey top decks something huge.
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything that's going to be able to bring Audrey back into this. Shield Slam going to break the steed. And the Dynamatic going to do a ton of work here. This will actually clear the board completely.
Light the fuses!
5 damage from bombs, 2 from the trade from Spring Rocket. That's full clear. Slysssa back in the driver's seat, but Lich King's a big boy though.
Yeah, he's a big boy. It's gonna be hard to get rich with what Slysssa has in hand. And the nice thing being is that those value off of those be crazy. Oh, Army dead.
Wow, that's probably the best card she could have pulled here.
Yeah.
Like, with no card draw available for the even Paladin, there's no other way to get down to the big threats. And I think Audrey probably reflexively hit that hero power, but this could be a bad thing because that brawl might leave up the recruit.
Oh my goodness, what a brawl. That was huge for her. The only problem into this game was for her to be able to pick up that, to keep that on the board. And now she gets the equality. Not very helpful at the moment.
And hero power, Bone Mare gonna come down, dump in 12 damage.
Wow, and just like that, Slyssa's back down to 12.
And Death and Decay gonna represent even more damage out of the hand for Audrey. Slysssa picks up the Direharm Matriarch, but run. That's a Spellbreaker in hand, waiting for Audrey to deploy it.
And that is lethal. That was crazy. Oh, Audrey going
she's gonna do it with the equality. You know, either way works. It's 8 damage.
All roads lead to Rome. Wow.
What a play.
I didn't even see that one coming through. That was literally the only way that out to be able to get that Lich King back and then top deck the Blessing of Kings. Oh, wow.
And you know, you can say what you will about the RNG of Brawl, right? You know, Audrey got lucky because the Lich King won the Brawl, and especially because she dumped the recruit into the Brawl. But Audrey navigated that game to get Slysssa to a point where she was facing lethal. So that you gotta credit her for playing that with the cards she had in hand to get Slysssa down to that position.
That was great play. That was
This
great
puts-
play.
with holy fire.
This puts Audrey in a fantastic position now. She's got the even Paladin and the even Warlock going into this Malygos Druid 2 shots to finish the series against with 2 matchups that should be in Audrey's favor.
Yes, this has been an all-out slugfest between these two. They're both playing at the top of the today, trying to take this win down. So we've been really lucky to see this.
Yeah, this has been a fantastic display of skill for both of these players. But let's take a look at the hands here. Run Slysssa, no wild growth, no nourish.
That feels super bad on first Slysssa to be staring down a very can be very aggressive deck with no way to ramp into your big stuff.
No.
That just doesn't feel great.
Although the Naturalize will allow Slysssa to manage, one of the threats that Audrey manages to deploy, but Tyrion and Lich King are waiting in the wings for Audrey. So she's just going to get into that mid game, put down that Corpse Taker, get a threat, 2 Corpse Takers.
Wow. That's exactly what she needs to see in this matchup. She top decks Blessing of Kings. I mean, it can be over like that. But we do see that she does pick up the Nourish in hand, which is a great pickup for Slysssa, as well as the Spreading Plague. Now, granted, an even Paladin's War doesn't get all that large because they build tall instead of wide like an odd Paladin would. But, Slysssa actually has removal here, and that feels good. The only problem is we see this second Corpse Taker in hand. So Slysssa needs more removal.
Yeah, so back to the drawing board. Of course, Slysssa is holding the Naturalize, but she's probably wondering if she pull the trigger on it now, knowing that there's bigger minions probably waiting in the wings. But she has to, try to respect that Blessing of Kings, right?
I mean, you have to respect it. I think here, if that Blessing of Kings comes down, you're taking 14 damage to face.
Ooh, well, Audrey didn't have it. So she's not going to get the benefit of that 14 damage coming out of the Corpse Taker, but 3 minions guaranteeing, or close to guaranteeing, that she's going to have that Spikeridge Steed somewhere to go. And also, she picked up Equality, so Equality Consecrate manages Plague tokens. So she's got an answer to the Spreading Plague.
Wow. I mean, we can even see the Spikeridge Steed takes care of so much of what comes out. Now, I don't know how I feel about that hero power Audrey's part, knowing that a Spreading Plague maybe could have been something. But you're right, the Equality Pyromancer definitely does deal with that.
I think playing out the Recruit token was kind of a signal that she has an answer for the Plague. So Slysssa said, okay, let me take an alternate line. Let me get my Malygos discounted and try to play it to another out. But this Corpse Taker is going to get that Steed, and that's going to be quite a lot of damage. Gotta respect the Florist. I understand that for sure. But yeah, down to 14 now for Slysssa.
She does pick out the second Naturalize. So Slyssa's probably hoping to stabilize here.
Yeah, and she's got some tools to do it. Branching Paths can heal up for 12. Naturalize will get rid of this 10 damage from the Corpse Taker. And Malygos is ready to combo, but Slysssa has only pulled the single Moonfire, so she's got a ways to go. No ultimate infestation either, so she's got to armor up now because she's just dead to board.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel good there, but she is gonna good as well as some armor. Interesting line. She chooses to go ahead and use the card draw.
Yeah, I don't hate it because she ended up drawing into Howl, right? And had she not, she could have just armored up with the second Branching Paths option. So, but the Naturalize, though, even though it removes the minion, that gives the even Paladin a ton of gas, and that is not the position you ever want to be in facing against this deck. And look at this, Blessing of Kings coming down, more and more damage pouring in. Audrey
stepping on the gas. Look at that. Yes. Throwing that out there. She said, I don't care if you play because I've got the answer. So she's just pushing the gas and saying, let's just finish this game out.
Yeah, and you know, Slysssa has to know that's exactly what's going on. And there's not a ton of defensive tools left for Slysssa. Second Naturalize can take care of the Mighty Berserker with the Blessing of Kings. But after that, then what?
See.
Malygos? Or not Malygos, excuse me, Malfurion can offer a little bit of protection, but not much, because again, Equality, Consecration takes care of the Scarabs. And then she's only getting 5 armor off of Malfurion, so it's not much of an investment.
No, and especially just the way that everything is sitting here.
What
This is gonna have to come up.
Has
Oh,
to.
and she's gonna choose the spreading plague.
I think she has to say, do you have the equality?
Yeah, and it's easy for us on this side to say, oh yeah, she definitely has it. But Slysssa may have missed, you know, that one hero power. She could have thought maybe it was a misplay or you know something along those lines. So, but we can see on this side of it that she does have in fact have the answer.
Right, and this will allow Audrey to pour in quite a lot of damage. That's 13, I believe, plus the Consecration is 15. So it's going to set Slysssa back down to a very low health total, and Slysssa is praying for a swipe here to save her.
Yeah, swipe is about the only thing that end up saving her here. And there it is.
Off the
Wow, that was quite the pickup.
Wow. My goodness. You know, I know it's caster vision plus, you know, hindsight always being 2020. I don't think I would have hated her Audrey playing out one of the eight drops here, because she's seen both branching paths, so she's not facing a lethal threat from the plague tokens. So if she just like shows a little bit of restraint and just plays out that big threatening minion, because again, well, there's also the second Naturalize to consider, but it would have been saying, okay, I have an answer for the plague next turn, and all this damage is going to go downtown. As both of these lines are fine, we can see that Swipe ends up being punished here for clearing the plague tokens immediately with the equality. But here comes the 8 drops.
Yeah, we got some big boys coming out to play now.
Put your face
Oh, I like this choice here.
Yes, I love it.
You know, if she
reporting for
just naturalizes, that 5/3 weapon comes out and
Yep.
you know just starts to knock on base the other way. So, but we do see Malfurion coming down here. Oh no, she decides to play with us here a little bit.
Yeah, she may still trigger the Malfurion.
Okay.
It's, you know, the tokens will still come out, but the weapon, Ashbringer, is that the weapon? Yes, Ashbringer.
Yes.
Weapon. And that will clear one of the tokens. So Audrey will have continuing to mount the pressure here.
But Slysssa may be on her way to stabilizing here.
Yeah.
You know, a hero power here wouldn't be the end of the world.
No, 3 more armor, getting out of lethal range, and you know, Slysssa just needs just enough time to hit that spreading the ultimate infestation. She actually goes with the hero power here to clear the token. I think that's good. That's a good shout. You never want to leave even Paladin a platform for another Blessing of Kings, Backward Deed, Bone Mare, etc.
Yeah, I think that was very good. There's nothing getting through those 1/5s. Knowing that she has the UI next turn to be able to clear off probably anything that comes down, I think that was probably the way to go.
Well, now that Audrey has seen both Naturalizers, Lich King is going to be a huge problem
Yeah.
for Slysssa.
Woo.
Oh, and then Obliterate was a big pickup too.
Oh man, yeah, that's huge. And let's just look at her hand. Ultimate Lich King. She's got the Spellstone, Mally, and Moonfire. I mean, if Slysssa can't get this 8/8 off the board, it's not looking good.
Well, Slysssa does have a clear available. That Spellstone represents, if she powers it up with the hero power, 9 damage with Malygos. But that also means she has to commit the Malygos, which could then get cleared. So that could be a very, very serious problem for Slysssa to recover after. Because after that, how do you win the match without your key combo?
And she has to be thinking that she hasn't second equality come out. So wild pyromancy equality consecration. I mean, there's a lot of things. Even if she didn't have those, we can see she has obliterated hands. But there's a lot of ways for this to remove Malaga. So that's gotta feel like a not great play.
Oh, she goes for the infestation. So Slyssa's gonna go to 19 health. Audrey's representing 13 on board, and she's got, I think she's got enough in hand because I'm not sure actually. This is so close.
So she'll obliterate, and then let's see, she can 15 if she goes that route. If she, or I'm sorry, if she goes the Spectred, Spectred Steed. If she goes with Echo, she only can go up to 4 more, 12, 17. So not gonna do it that way.
Not quite. It's the she can get off 4 of the sound the bells after the obliterate, which would be 4 attack. Yeah, she'd be 2 off lethal, but so close. And yeah, she's got to go for it here. She's got to obliterate that token and just put more weapon charges into the face. Oh, she's gonna bow there. I don't hate this either because it's just another big minion. And this also sets up a dude. So this also.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, this is a better play for sure.
Oh wow. And she gets to anti-magic shell pick up here. I mean, just wow. We see Slyssa's got some maybe choices in hand, but not anything looking amazing.
Yeah, I think Slysssa has to go to the Malagos to power up some of these removals. Wait a minute. Floop just came off the top.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how much damage is that? That's... Oh, no.
Wow, I didn't even see that. Good job, Slysssa. What a...
Patience from Slysssa.
I mean,
so
that's
carefully.
where you can see 2 probably really great plays on Slyssa's part, because she chose to, instead of gaining armor where a lot of players there with that branching pass early in game, a lot of players tried to make sure they didn't die. Slysssa said, nope, I'm going for the card draw. That combined with saying that she was going to UI to see what she could find, that made the whole game for her. Had she not taken the more aggressive draws there and kind of YOLO'd with her health total, she wouldn't have made it. So you can see how that sometimes going after it pays off.
Yeah, it's if you're playing to not lose, you're almost certainly going to lose. But playing to win, Slysssa played to her outs magnificently there. So this puts us into a game 5 scenario. Audrey's going to queue up the even lock, and so far, that is a fantastic looking offering for the even warlock.
So she does go ahead and send 1 back, finds a homunculus. She sends that Gul'dan there. And we can see Slysssa has picked up, man, she's picked up Fog, she's picked up Nourish. That's what you want to see.
That is the god draw, the commandment of all druids.
And then
Wild
we see her
into natural
get some
into Nourish.
card draw. That's fantastic. Both sides of this are decent hands here. With Geist being on there, the Mountain Giant, Silence. This is an excellent draw for us. Oh, and we see
second giant coming into the hand.
And destroy minion. This is going to be a great game.
There is one thing to note here, though, Run, and the homunculus play on 2 prevents Audrey from deploying the giants on 4 because you needed to hit the tap on turn 2.
One more time.
Right, so this could be a huge unforced error here for Audrey, especially with how good Slyssa's hand is.
Yeah, and you see Slysssa actually drew the second Nourish there for card draw. She's going to get Arcane out. She's got Spreading Plague and already has a Naturalize in hand.
Already has Florist and Malagos in hand.
I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. Sometimes these games can be over very quickly if they get these kind of draws. And we already see Slyssa's on turn 8 already.
Yeah. Well, Audrey making up for lost time, trying to. She hits that giant, but Naturalize is going to answer the play, and the floor is going to come down and give us a 2-mana Malygos once again.
Yeah, and you know, growing that homunculus thing. I mean, we are sitting for an hour in game 5, and so it may end just literally fatigue. She thought she was on turn 3, threw the homunculus down, and
yeah, it's a tough thing to play a long series against a very experienced competitive player like Slysssa, you know, a regular name on the very high legends list at the end of every month. So, you know, Audrey has to be on her best game here, and I'm sure she's going to be reviewing that in her post-game review later. But yeah, like, fatigue is a real thing.
And Slysssa is also a player that has lots of tournament experience. You know, she's been DreamHack, she made the playoffs in WSG, so she's used to this fatigue. She knows how to stay focused, and we see that from the last couple of games. She really pulled it out in places that were shockingly there. So
yeah, and you know, Audrey going for, you know, the what a lot of people I think would do would be to put the Sun Fury in the middle. I think there's an argument to protect the giant from trades and put it to the left of the Geist. So again, Audrey, I'd like to see Audrey just kind of slow down a little bit here and really consider these plays. There's a lot of nuance that goes into these games. So Slyssa's gonna continue drawing though, because she's getting pretty deep into the deck now. Malygos down to 2. She's only got 11 cards remaining, and she's got some threats to go. Malfurion the Pestilent and Lich King coming off the top.
How about?
I mean, Audrey still has a ton of damage on her, so there is that.
yeah, and Audrey has a lot of things in hand to be able to make some boards with, but you know, being able to see on this side, Slysssa has quite a great hand for everything. We do see her use Siphon Soul here. I like that a lot. A lot of damage going face for Audrey here.
Yeah, the Siphon Soul, you know, an unusual inclusion in Evenlock, but it pays off here, taking care of that Lich King and letting Audrey just slam the pedal to the floor and put a ton of damage on Slysssa. The Death Coil, though, that might be an easy answer for this giant.
Yeah, very easy answer. But we do see that Slyssa's got a lot of ways to continue to stabilize with the Spreading Plague and you know, things like that. So she definitely has some answers for it here.
Yep. Now Furion, though, are gonna probably drop a couple of Scarabs if Slysssa decides to commit to that play. But you know, there's certainly things to do. Branching Pass for more armor. She probably wants to get to a point where she can play out that Ultimate Infestation, so she might be looking to empty out some cards from her hand and get to a win condition with Furion. But yeah, she's facing down 14 damage. She got to do something to keep from dying in the next 2 turns.
What if?
Looks like she is going to go ahead and choose the Malfurion here. She is running out of time quickly. Okay, she definitely wants the giant.
Yeah.
I think that was a safe play.
Yeah, absolutely. Heal deals with that 8-4 perfectly, and these 2-1-5s keep the pressure off for the time being. And yeah, this should give Slysssa the time to get to a better game plan. But Audrey's she's been sitting on Gul'dan for a few turns there, Run.
Yeah, it'll be nice. All that high just yet. We can see both of the Reavers in here. We haven't seen a Dread Infernal at all. So, you know, when that, what you usually hope to be such a big swing turn comes down, she's going to have a Homunculus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's the only demon we've seen so far. So Audrey may want to try and get these hooked Reavers on the board, even as 4/4s, just to get some more value out of that Gul'dan hero power. And then Slysssa deploys probably the best play she's going to get.
Yeah, probably so. And that's how the Malygos and other decks like to stabilize, is they set down the Spreading Plague on 6, and then they have Malfurion on 7, just as an example. But in the meantime, they're armoring up and gaining. So we can see that Slysssa really is just stabilizing again. at 39 health now.
Yeah, like Audrey was able to put on some decent early pressure, maybe a little slow off the start, from sequencing issues, but she got a big board going. She still has, this is still 12 damage on board. It's a big threat, but those scarabs, she doesn't have any good way to get through those.
Yeah, I don't see a great way in her hand. Maybe this is where you throw down a Lich for,
Yeah, maybe so.
Something better. But I think Audrey's going to be looking for a little less of an RNG method.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the possibility like Death and Decay would be good to pair with Hellfire, which she doesn't have. She actually deploys the Defile here to set up the trades and get a nearly clean board, Lich King. But yeah, there's the Death and Decay.
We do see Death and Decay come down, so that does help, especially if we see another board get help.
This is exactly the position Slysssa wanted. She wanted to be able to maximize the utility of this ultimate infestation, and 44 health flew off the top, double swipe now in hand.
And we see Moonfire. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, Slysssa just needs to wait one more turn, 2 more turns, and she'll be able to put this one to bed.
Audrey has got to come up with a pretty decent sized answer here.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you see that ultimate infestation, you got to think, did they just draw Malygos combo? Because you've already seen the Dream Petal Forests.
And there's only 3 cards in hand.
Or in the deck, yeah, like.
Or in deck, sorry.
Pretty good chance the combo's available. Well, Audrey's gonna go to Ghoulman and get that healing hero power online. Get 5 more armor to go with it. My fast math is not very good run, but Slysssa just picked up the Moonfire. That's all 4 of her damage spells and a discounted Malygos. That's a ton of damage.
Yeah, I think that was lethal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the end of it. Slysssa knows this combo well. She's played this one a bunch. All of those spells getting very quickly pointed to the face, and this is gonna be it. Run. Yeah. Slysssa takes a 5-game series from Audreykills. Holy cow!
Wow.
What a series!
That was incredible play. I mean, just to see that, and you can see how quickly and game states change, and Slysssa not giving up, it was probably the biggest thing. I mean, looking at it, we're just like, oh my goodness, Slysssa, what are you going to do here? And then she turns around and wins the game. It just goes to show you don't stop in Hearthstone. You just keep pushing and pushing until you win. So.
Yeah, and Malygos Druid, of course, it was pretty obvious that Slysssa has played that deck a lot. Very well practiced, knew exactly what she needs to do at every point in that matchup to make sure that Malygos got those last 2 wins to reverse this series from a 2-1 deficit into a 3-2. Audrey played extremely well, although I think the fatigue started to kind of get to her at the end there, Run.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it had come down a little bit differently. Held the homunculus 1 more turn, and then also I think playing out the giant on 5 when she could have naturalized on, or got rid of the naturalizers on 6 and put the giants down to save them. There was maybe some sequencing error, but she played an excellent match for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, and this kind of of high skill match is exactly why the Badass Women of Hearthstone tournament was concepted. This is the kind of stage that Toast wanted to create for women and non-binary competitors. So I'm so glad, Run, that we are finally at this place where we can show off the skills of these players to the world. And there's, in fact, thanks to the very generous donations of supporters, we have a prize pool for these women.
Yes.
So they are playing for some marbles here.
Yeah, actually the winner will receive a ticket to to our generous donors, and as well as to everybody. It was put out there on social media for like a GoFundMe, and people just gave hand over fist. And to all of you that did that, thank you so much. It means a lot as a player in the tournament as well as a caster, to get these platforms to be able to hone our skills and to encourage each other. So thank you for all that you guys do and all the support that you've given us.
And this was just week 1, everybody. There are going to be many more weeks to come. So if you want to come back for a Friday night, Saturday night, and even daytime matches, because there's also a European bracket also happening at the same time, and those matches can also be streamed. So if you want to come back and see some more great play from these people, follow the channel. And if you're feeling super generous, throw us that Twitch Prime subscription, because it goes a long way to helping this channel stay online and continuing to showcase these great players.
It does.
We're going to wrap it up for the night, though. That was a long series, so thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a fan and for supporting the Badass Women of Hearthstone movement. It means a lot to everyone of us here at the organization. So for everybody in the production booth, Bemmie, he's our hero. He's been running the show down there. Good night, everybody.